I don't like the wind.
Right? Speaking of wind, we could talk about Major League Baseball.
We could. Astros dream season comes to an end. Good morning, YouTubers.
7-6 last night. They dropped one to the California Angels, who are actually
LA
Los Angeles
Angels of Anaheim.
Yeah,
that isn't the most confusing thing ever.
Washington football team. Yeah. But they're actually a pretty good squad. The Angels are pretty good.
What's his name? Ohani? Threw 101 mile an hour pitch on Sunday or Saturday? Over the weekend.
Sometime.
Narrow it down to that. Over the weekend.
This season.
In the first inning, he throws a pitch 101 miles an hour. Bottom of the inning, he cracks a home run.
Kind of hard to fight that guy.
Yeah.
Is he the one that plays outfield also?
Pitches, yeah. Pretty solid.
And then he's the one they were saying, you got to choose the major league. You can't do it all.
That's what all the pundits were saying.
As he throws it 100.
He said, to hell with you all. I'm going to do it all.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I like that. That little rhyme you just did there.
Thank you.
I'm looking sharp today in some Wade & Carter swag that we got from Compadres Design and an Adidas cap that I got at some outlet mall.
Justin Glass, first one in. Good morning to you.
Jake
Bobby Leister checking in. Tracy Price, good morning. Judge Posey.
You know Tracy Price?
I don't know.
I do. Price. Good friend.
Good.
Teacher on her way to school. Means she's probably got my man Luke with her. Luke plays a little third, pitches, catches. Yeah.
Leisterometer holding steady at 830.
830 YouTubers. Good morning.
Good morning to
America's Sheriff on the tube last night with who was he on with Cavuto?
No, was he?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's. I
did not catch that one.
It's now the Fox News Network with Andy Lauterbach. I mean, it's uncanny.
America Sheriff's Network?
Oh, my mother sent me a text. I don't know where you are, but the sheriff's going to be on the air in 1 hour. I'm like, Fox? And she said, yes. Good for him. Good for our region. And good for all of our sheriffs who work together in their regional alliance, which is, folks, it's making national news. I mean, you see where Justin Marr, in today's Advocate, Justin Marr points out, he pointed it out in February, but it made it to the front page of today's Advocate, that the border situation is really taxing all of our law enforcement divisions.
And it's going to be taxing all of our health care with all the COVID streaming in over the border.
Jeff Finley, good morning, sir.
Diane Tippett checking in. Let's see who else is in. H.R. Mallory. I saw an update from HR. He was in last week talking about the autism patches that DPS troopers have for sale.
Are they pretty? They're pretty.
They've sold over 400 of
them. That is awesome.
Yeah. So all credited. I bet you every one of those has been sold to Wade & Carter listeners.
Oh, yeah, I do believe that. Big credit to the Wade & Carter listeners. And most of our listeners have been buying them 4 and 5 at a time. I think they're like $5 or $6, you know.
Yeah. Christina Wise, good morning. Robin Moore-Knipling, Trey Molina, Terry Murray checking in.
Trey Molina.
Karen Webb, Scott Snow, Mike Bloschke, Greg Garcia. Good morning, everybody. Patrick Strauss, the Iceman is in. Clint Ives, Chris Conrad, Bobby Ferris.
By the way, in an update, hi, Bobby Ferris. In an update, it will be 72 and sunny in Precinct 4. That's what Clint pretty much prescribes.
Amanda Smith-King, Brent Anderson, Chris Jansen, B.J. Nelson.
B.J. Nelson, congratulations to you personally, ma'am, for the Baylor Bears in a dominant we'll get to these, like who called what.
Yeah.
A dominant performance.
Can I finish roll call real quick?
86-70.
Rena Scherer. Hey, look, my mom's in early this morning. Good morning, Mom.
Tina, she might have just got home. Tina, were you out late in Calgary, Alberta, Canada last night?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You can't go anywhere in Calgary right now. Speaking of, unless you go to the Polish church.
Well, unless you go to church. Yeah, then you go to church. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. HR Mallory,
won't believe that.
Richard King, Marie Day. Good morning, everybody. So the Baylor Bears clown stomp Gonzaga. I did not see that one coming.
So let's see, just to clarify, you, me, and Brother Gary after the show.
Yep. Well, I had to stick with my bracket. My bracket was Gonzaga from the start.
I think I said that the victory Gonzaga had against who was it? UCLA? Who'd they beat?
UCLA.
Was just too much. It took too much out of them to win at the buzzer and OT. It just took too much out of them. And boy, Baylor jumps out to a 9-0 lead, 11-1 lead.
17 points at one point, 10 at the half.
And they end up winning by 16, 86-70. It's just a dominant, tired, heavy-footed Gonzaga team.
As good as that semifinal game was, this was probably one of the worst. And nothing against Baylor.
Yeah,
Baylor played a
congrats to
great
Baylor.
game. Awesome game for Baylor.
Total domination.
But probably one of the worst national championship games visually and to watch for somebody who had no rooting interest, right? If you're a Baylor fan, you're happy with the way that game went. If you're a Gonzaga fan, you're
devastated.
Yeah, devastated from the start.
22 years coaching his 50th NCAA tournament game.
Yeah.
Baylor just took control
and absolutely dominated. But
went
from
straight Baptist revival on them, just bludgeoned them with they Bible beat them.
Was there any dancing after the game?
No, there was no dancing because people might think they were having sex. No kidding. It was unbelievable. So there you go. Congrats to the Baylor Bears on a job well done. In other news, Scott Drew going to be an assistant at Texas. Now, no, that's not true. Texas Tech fans went crazy when Chris Beard accepted the offer to come to UT. They felt betrayed. I'm like, folks, the guy was an assistant at Texas. He graduated from Texas. He gets a head coaching job at Texas Tech, and you want him to think that's like a destination job? Where do you coach? Lubbock. Where do you get your players? New York. I mean, Lubbock? Come on. Do you know how hard it is to recruit to Lubbock? Well, we got you Taco Bell. We got a chicken shack. A lot of dust. Come on out here.
Let's be honest, though. Does this excite any Texas basketball fan?
No, not really.
Programs.
Not
really. Is this the guy you wanted to? You couldn't have waited to try to make an offer for Scott Drew?
Look at that.
You couldn't go after Mark Few?
BJ Nelson says, thanks for the congratulations, but I don't follow basketball. We're a football house. Well, your husband's an Aggie, and you're a Baylor Bear. Got to be a little depressing at your house following football. You might want to switch over and follow a little baseball, maybe some tennis. And basketball.
Basketball wouldn't be a bad place to
Basketball's
start.
a good place to start. Yeah. Baylor's pretty good.
They're pretty darn good. And they did it this time without players murdering each other.
Yeah, nobody got shot.
So that's good. It's good for Baylor. No, congrats to the Baylor Bears. Well done.
So we've talked about the fact the Astros' dream season has ended. They can no longer go undefeated.
161-1. Calling it here first time.
I got them still winning 100, but 3 out of 4. That's probably what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's not 4 out of 5. If actually you take.
Is that where they're at?
That's where they're at.
Oh, they're 4-1.
Yeah.
Well, that should win 100 easy, right? BJ says she's holding out for curling.
Baylor curling. I'm not
amen
sure.
to that. No, I tell you what. If UHV led the way, I believe that Big 12 schools would come right in with curling.
Lisa Poole, good morning.
The nostalgia. The history. What is what's that big event they have every year?
Bonspiel. The Briar.
Come on. You've got the Briar. What a great. Speaking of Briar, we're going to tell you a story about hypocrisy, which we're pretty good at here, exposing, not being hypocrites. After this break. Today, we're going to start off with the Atzenhofer dealerships and tell you that since 1926, Atzenhofer has been your go-to car dealership.
I think I helped sell that Cadillac yesterday.
Good. It was gone this morning. $8,000. Cadillac gone.
Yeah.
And if it's on their lot, you know it's in good working order.
Low miles, one owner. You know it's no lead.
Only driven on Sundays, back and forth to church. Always garage kept, no smoker, no pets.
What is it? It was about what does that make it? 12 years old.
Next to the hotel room. Yeah. No smoker, no pets.
I bet you that thing had less than 10,000 miles a year.
There you go. Since 1926. Atzenhofer.
Not Atzenhofer.com, but Atzenhofer.
Yeah, Atzenhofer.com. Now, that's how you can shop for your next car at work, just to go explore. White Trash Services, 550-1826. If you got a bunch of Baylor championship trophies you don't want, you just let them know. They'll bring a dumpster over, put it in your driveway. Well, they bring a real small, like maybe just like an ash can for those Baylor championship trophies.
I don't know. That national championship one's
pretty big. A big one. Give them a call, 550-1826. Let White Trash Services help you have a trash-tastic day. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull and his team. JP did analytics that showed him that Baylor was going to win that championship. He also had 5 other brackets that showed Gonzaga winning that championship, but nobody hacked his brackets.
No.
So did you see this? CNA, one of the premier insurance companies in the world, hacked.
Did not see that.
Hacked their websites. We use them every day. Their website's been down because they got hacked.
Really? Ransomware? Someone's
Yeah,
holding
and
up
these
to-
folks are in the insurance business, so it can happen to you. Reach out to Razor
So their own
IT
policy's
Solutions.
working?
Well, I don't know if they can file a claim against themselves. Either way, it's costing them money. The law offices of Stephen Kidder. We don't say that lightly. Whether you need a trust, a contract dispute, a personal dispute, a familial dispute, you want to adopt, you want to separate,
You want to
anything-
disown?
there you go. You want to, what do they call that when you abdicate? What is it when you like leave? If you're a kid and you're like 18, you like leave your parents.
Well, you're 18, you're an adult. You can do that.
They call
You
it
don't need
moving
that.
out.
Yeah, you don't
Really,
need
Steve Kidder would say, you don't need me for
No.
that. See, there you go. He'll tell you.
But
if
he might
it.
need you to drop a lease agreement when you move somewhere.
There you go. Comp 360 right over here, the health bar. Get you a panini. Get
Wrap.
you a motivational,
What's the one, the King? Is that what they call it? They have like a fried peanut butter or banana and panini, right?
do they really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That doesn't sound too healthy.
Emancipated Miner, Chris Conrad. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris Conrad.
Chris knows from experience.
There you go.
Left his parents when he was 12.
Right? Went pro curling, pro curler, a pro jock. So I'm looping. I'm like, hey, llama, how about something for the effort?
Matt Boucher, good morning, Tom Price. Get over to the health bar by Complete 360 right over here on Red River, just to the east of Red River and Laurent.
There will be no money, but on your deathbed, you'll have total consciousness. So I've got that going for me.
That's all you got going for
Yeah, I
you.
tell you what, you can get to Comp 360 also up on the north side next to Buffalo Wild Wings. All these great supplements, and the guys, when you walk in there, you get confidence because everybody in there, they're healthy. That you can tell that these are people that practice what they preach. And it's kind of like you go to church and your pastor's fat and he's talking to you about self-control. You're like, come on, man. Come on, Buddha. The last thing I need is a 400-pound Chinaman telling
7
me how to
deadly
act.
sins.
Right. He's got chicken grease all over him. Come on, man. Nobody got time for that.
Fonseca says he's COVID free.
Good for you, Jeff.
He was a little worried.
Little answer to prayer. I tell you what, it takes a specific humility and also some common sense to reach out to your friends for prayer. So here, Marco Rubio, senator from Florida. You may have heard of him. At one point, kind of a front runner to maybe be, until Donald Trump
Yeah.
stole the Republican Party, bought it. Marco Rubio kind of called out the hypocrisy. This Rob Manfred. Many of you don't know him, and that's okay. I thought it was Bud Selig, to be honest, but Rob Manfred is the commissioner of Major League Baseball. Rob Manfred ultimately pulled the lever that took the All-Star game out of Atlanta. You may have heard Lee De La Garza talk about the fact that $191 million in
Economic activity. Yeah, that's the high side. And I've heard
Just-
anywhere as low as 50.
still jerked right out of Atlanta. And
yeah.
from people that are typically more low-paying wage earners.
Yeah, I was listening to a show this morning and coming in, and they were talking about all the folks that impacted, not just those in the stadium, everybody around the stadium, the businesses, some of the street vendors who hawk stuff, who sell food out of street cars or food trucks, all that stuff impacted.
Right. So Rubio in part said in a letter to Rob Manfred, I am under no illusion that Major League Baseball will sacrifice business revenue on behalf of its alleged corporate values. Similarly, I am under no illusion you intend to resign as a member from Augusta National Golf Club. To do so would require a personal sacrifice, as opposed to the woke corporate virtue signaling of moving the All-Star game from Atlanta. What he basically did is call Rob Manfred a hypocrite. Said, hey, look, you're so upset about the state of Georgia and their voting laws, yet you pay thousands of dollars a year, a month probably, to be a member at Augusta National. Because at the end of the day, you're a rich white dude. And that's what you do. You're a member at Augusta National. You're not giving that up.
No,
The folks at
They did-
Coca-Cola that tell you not to be so white, they're not giving that up.
Major
still
League
members
Baseball,
there.
5 days or a few days prior to announcing they were pulling the All-Star game, announcing a re-up or a new deal with a Chinese telecom partner to air games in China.
Because that's about money.
Why didn't they give that up?
That's not about feelings.
You
That's
want to talk
about
voter?
money.
You want to talk voter suppression? They don't vote.
And here's the thing that gets me.
There's no voting in China.
With their fake outrage, who is Major League Baseball hoping to reach? Are they thinking that the down and out, because these are the people that are being hurt by Georgia, the down and out, the destitute, the disenfranchised, the illegal? You think those people are buying tickets to a ball game? They ain't buying no tickets. Go to the stands and look. Those are working people in those stands. I don't know who baseball is sucking up to.
I don't either.
I really don't get it.
Their own guilty conscience.
And it's only because they make the balls in Costa Rica. Those people ain't making $15 an hour, folks, selling baseballs. They're just not. The hypocrisy of the left. The guy who pats you on the back and says, poor little fella, I'm here to help. He's looking down on you. He thinks you're incapable of handling your own business. Kamala Harris wants to help you.
Joe Biden wants to help you if he can figure out who he is, where he is, and what he's actually trying to do on a daily basis.
I just don't understand the intelligent people that fall for it. And what I think it is, the intelligent people that are really left-leaning, in their minds, they're aligned with Joe and Kamala. This is like my charity. I'm working with Joe and Kamala to help those people. But you're using my money to help those people. That just makes you a middleman of mediocrity. Get out of the way. Let the economy thrive. Let people go to work in a naturally unfettered marketplace. And we all do well.
I listened to some guy yesterday talk about how tried to defend the corporate tax increase that's coming and that the costs will be passed along to consumers.
100%.
And here was his argument. Well, the corporations didn't slash prices when Donald Trump cut corporate taxes. No, but talking to a bunch of business owners, what they did, they employed people. They reinvested into their companies. That tax cut, sure, some of the Wall Street banks turned around and made big profits. That's what they do. But all business exists to make profit. If you don't make profit, you're no longer in business. It's just, I mean, it's
absolutely,
you know,
it was seen in reality when Trump cut the corporate tax rate and America went to work. Lowest unemployment rates across all spectrums. Blacks, Hispanics, women,
Asians,
everybody went to work
except
in
for
record
kids,
numbers.
Teens, they weren't working very well.
Now,
and we had more jobs than we had people to fill them.
Isn't it like a 8% increase? I mean, it's going to put corporate tax like over 40%.
Yeah, I believe the Fed says no more than 28%.
That is coming to you. There's
and
no
even at
way.
21%, we were still amongst one of the highest in the world, from what I understand.
Yeah.
We were more competitive because he cut it from 28%, where Joe Biden wants to put it back to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So again, it's just everything Trump did. It's orange man bad syndrome. It's Trump derangement syndrome. You know, there's no real reason or rationale to go back to 28% other than Trump did cut it. So we're going to go back there.
We got to put it back the way Barack had it because Barack is smarter than me, says Joe Biden. The interesting thing is, it is troubling that the U.S. can have among the highest corporate tax rates in the world, and that you still have healthcare issues for our very, well, I was going to say for our very poorest. That's not true. If you're dead, destitute, broke, you can go to Citizens and have heart surgery. They don't care. But I'm convinced that the thing to do, since now we print trillions of dollars as if they don't matter, why not just have a voucher, give them a card? Oh, wait, give them a voter ID card. And
That
with
also
that,
has a little chip for their health insurance.
there you go, and they get free health care. Why not just send the bill to the government? Why not? I mean, I really am asking, why not? Why not? Just send them the bill. Just go in there and go, here's my card. Oh, okay, Ash. Yeah, I see you're an American citizen. And okay, so I'm not going to ask any questions because that could be a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act and a violation of your civil rights. We're just going to go ahead and give you this kidney transplant and send the bill to Washington. And my question is, why not? They just gave away $1.9 trillion with no real accountability for it.
With all the, well, yeah, and another, what, $2 trillion in infrastructure that if you actually look at it, you could argue, I don't even know if you could get to half of the bill as legitimate infrastructure.
Yeah, and it's almost like just shut them up, give them free health care. And you got to wonder if, and I do mean this, is it possible that if you just gave everybody the ability to go to a doctor, is it possible? Now, the government would have to decide how to reimburse, and they would decide that doctors make too much money.
Yeah.
So they would decide that every fourth patient's free. But would people, over time, take better care of themselves, or would it just be when it's broke, I'll fix it?
No, and I'll point to Canada, who also has, maybe not as obese as the U.S., but still somewhat obese.
Yeah.
Obesity rates that maybe aren't rivaling the U.S., pushing 50% of its population of being obese, but not exactly. So, yeah, close.
Yeah, see, my deal is like I'm all about people having health care provided for them, but here's how I want to do it. I want to grow my business to the point that I can employ more people, and in employing those people, I want to provide them health care insurance. And now I have given those people the gift of
Employment, self-reliance,
medical stability, self-respect. I don't get it.
the other hypocrisy not being pointed out and by the left because they won't. And here's the narrative that'll happen with the All-Star game reportedly moving to Denver. You've just taken it from one of the most diverse communities in the country, in Atlanta, large African-American Black population, growing Hispanic population, large white population, and you've moved it to basically the middle of white America in Denver.
76% is what Lee reported of Denver is white.
Yeah.
51% of Atlanta is Black. They took it from the Black folks, who many of whom need the work over there, and moved it to
$50 to
Denver.
$190 million of economic activity.
Moved it to Denver, where there's nothing but white people and legalized gummy bears. It's a little shocking.
Well, but here's the underlying narrative that has not come out yet, but will. You watch. The media will push this. And Major League Baseball probably won't spin it this way, but they'll probably tip off a few folks to talk about it. Colorado has mail-in voting. They've had mail-in voting for a long time.
Yep.
That will be the narrative and they'll start pushing as to why mail-in balloting works in Colorado.
And pro sports has to utilize their form, has to utilize it, just the exact same as the way Hollywood. If you're Tom Cruise, you have an obligation to share your great wisdom, your ability to memorize the words of other people and regurgitate them with a smile on a silver screen makes you an expert at all things important. And therefore, you should regurgitate your feelings and your emotions. It's your duty.
Says the guy who jumped around on Oprah's couch like an idiot.
Yeah, when he was all in love with Katie Holmes, who basically felt trapped after about their second date.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Torrin Bale says Biden will push corporations out of the U.S. again to places with lower corporate tax rates.
Isn't he planning to also tax them when they set up somewhere else? Isn't it also interesting that Joe Biden's home state of Delaware is the biggest tax haven in the United States?
Yeah, interesting.
And has tighter voting laws than Georgia, even though he went on last week and called Georgia's new voting laws Jim Crow on steroids.
Yeah.
Which absolutely did nothing of the sort. Expanded early voting, made ballot drop boxes permanent, They didn't exist prior to 2020 and COVID. Now they've got permanent drop boxes at places. About the only thing that they can complain about is the state now has the ability to go in and remove people at the local level. If they, basically they're trying to say if they don't like them, but if they're not doing their job, which I would argue, looking at the pictures of some of the lines in Georgia, either they're not doing their jobs already, or they've got some real issues in finding qualified people who want to actually help run and work elections, or maybe both.
Absolutely. Let's take a break. I'll tell you another one that T-Lad shared with me. Allen's Regular Service, 578-6300. Allen's your go-to tow-to. Wherever you need to go, wherever you need to get a vehicle, got a wreck, heaven forbid, you have a vehicle on its side in a ditch, you have an 18-wheeler that just won't go. Allen's has everything from the little flatbed to take the postal truck back to its depot, all the way up to a 75-ton crane to pull an 18-wheeler out of a ditch. Reach out to
I'll put that in
Allen's
perspective for those of you that don't
Tell
know what a
us.
75-ton crane is. It's a really big crane.
It's a big crane.
Biggest crane you'll ever see.
That's exactly right. 578-6300. The VCS companies and all that they entail, the Hartmans,
Right there on Kerr Boulevard.
just inside the loop off Main. If you need surveillance, security, surround sound, fire suppression, fire detection, monitoring for your security system, they've got it all. Very, very reasonable. We've had their security system in our home, and it has been tripped.
Proof, right?
It is, except that we sometimes set it and then open a door. And if you open the door, I mean immediately, Mr. Carter, you okay? Yes, we are. Thank you. What's the password? I'm like, what's the password? I'm not damn rather. Don't ask me the code.
The password is
stupid. Yeah, that's what I ought to make it. Stupid. Because if it's not, they don't have a password, right? Okay. VCS company's perfect for you. Chesnick Furniture Company, 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn
and Bridge.
Reach gently into your pocket and go down there and buy stuff at 50% off. Everything. Best.
101 years in business, folks.
Best recliners, bedding, Tempur-Pedic bedding. They've got it all.
They really do.
Bobby Leon and his family.
Yes,
for generations will reach out and help you with your family.
Veracruz, it's pre-Caldo Wednesday, so it's pre-Caldo Tuesday.
I ate it yesterday. I highly recommend the number 7. No, it's one Compuesta, a shredded, spicy, but chicken crispy taco.
Nice.
And comes with a little cup of vegetable soup. And it's amazing. I mean, it's just, cabbage and celery and carrots. It's really good.
Yeah, their little soup is good.
Really, really good. What did our friends at
yeah, let me look. Caleb Shaw says it doesn't matter, just clickbait and talking points for liberal narrative. It's only going to get worse. They aren't slowing down or stopping. They will run right over all of us, I think is what he was saying.
Yeah.
Said they're going to try to implement a worldwide corporate tax. That's what they want.
Yeah, that's what they want, because here's the deal, folks. They want all of us to be equal, and they want they being the
left,
the global folks that actually run the world.
Yeah.
They want all of us beholden to the world government.
Well, Joe Biden said it the other day in Pittsburgh, which I thought was an interesting place to go and announce your infrastructure plan that's going to basically eliminate all the fracking and oil and gas in Western PA. But in other parts of Pennsylvania. So you go right into the middle of the hornet's nest to stir it up, right? Because that's Joe Biden. He thinks that's a smart thing because he's a boy.
Right.
He's just a boy from Scranton.
Scranton.
But he said it last week. We all do better when we all do well.
Right. We all do better when everybody's equal and we're all doing
It's not even equal. Now it's equity. Now you're dealing with you don't have equal opportunity. You now have equal outcomes. You want everybody to have the same outcome. It's a socialist, Soviet era, communist talking point, dumbed down and glossified over.
Yes.
To appeal to U.S. voters. We all do better when we all do well.
It's a true story. And Americans are voting themselves into subservience to other countries.
Anybody who ever went over to the Eastern Bloc countries prior to the wall coming down and free market forces taking effect. And there were some bad, trust me, the Soviet Union, after the collapse, had to catch up to the rest of the world. Inflation skyrocketed. We saw it in Argentina as well when they got rid of their dictatorship. Why? Because they had suppressed the prices so artificially low, they had nowhere to go once free market forces took place and took effect. But all you had to do is look at the people there. They had no inspiration. They had no pride about their jobs and what they were doing because they had no incentive to work harder. They didn't own anything. The government owned everything. They provided for them. There was nothing.
Being a broke, unemployed, illegal alien in the United States is better than being a citizen in about 90% of the world.
Absolutely.
Why do you think they keep coming? The reality of the situation is that the only way for there to be equity among people globally is for the United States to be torn down. That's it. They've got to drop us down. They're not looking for the new Tesla in Kenya. They're just not in the Sudan. They're not trying to decide if they need an Instant Pot.
No, but who's in those countries ravaging all their natural resources? China.
China. Hi, Katina.
China and their Belt and Road Initiative. Go look it up, folks. They have taken over the African continent because the rest of the world didn't care. They're exploiting Africa for all their resources, and they don't care about the people. They're working them. You want modern slavery? It's in Africa right now, and the Chinese Communist Party are the slave owners and the slave masters.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
And
you have Major League Baseball sucking up to these jackholes in China.
No doubt about it. The NBA. The NBA is deep in bed with China.
But no, we're just going to let that slide because we're so woke. The U.S. is bad.
Yeah, LeBron James wears a jersey made in China while he complains about voter laws in Georgia.
Which he knows nothing about because he didn't read the damn bill.
His ignorance is what turns me off to athletes as spokespeople. Has no idea what he's talking about, is the biggest hypocrite on the planet, lives behind a wall in L.A. He's not like Muhammad Ali out walking among the people. He lives behind a wall in L.A., wears gear from China with his name on it, sucks up to the Chinese with his actions.
Makes more money than you and I and a billion of our friends combined in a lifetime would ever make.
And then complains about voter laws in Georgia that are designed to protect his way of life.
And is so woke, he drives his Tesla made with minerals mined out of China or out of Africa,
right?
From Chinese slaveholders.
Absolutely.
But he's so woke, he can tell you exactly how we should behave.
So Donnie gave me one the other day, Ash, make you stop and think. Joe Biden credited with saying that the death of Martin Luther King didn't have the worldwide implications that the death of George Floyd had. Now, maybe Biden's saying at that moment that at that moment, MLK was kind of a rabble rouser, maybe just kind of he's a civil rights guy.
Well, you had a lot more communist countries. You didn't have internet. You had press that was controlled by.
There you go.
So I'm sure it didn't get out.
Update on the Chauvin trial. We talked about that, and that is in where'd you say it was? Minneapolis. Yeah, Milwaukee, where Mahia. I don't know. It was north of here.
The one narrative they haven't been able to try to use that they always use when the media, when I say they, I mean the media. They haven't been able to talk about the disparity of the jurors and the jury pool because it's pretty much balanced to reflect the community of Minneapolis.
So. I don't know if they don't have any Pacific Rim Asians. I don't know.
If they didn't, we'd already be hearing about it from a few senators, I'm sure.
So here's my question to you, and I wish the law offices of Steve Kidder would reach in.
BJ Nelson says MLK was a gentleman trying to help all blacks. George Floyd had a dealer.
Absolutely. So here's my question about George Floyd. And I don't know what the definition of second-degree murder is. I know that first-degree murder is when you premeditate, you plan to go over there, I'm going to go kill this guy. And I believe second-degree murder is something akin to the idea of, I fully intend to kill you. It may be situational. It just came up, but I'm killing you with my own volition. And that's saying, I'm here to kill you. At any rate, the idea, the problem that the prosecution has with Derek Chauvin is he did have his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9.5 minutes, 9 minutes and 29 seconds. That's a fact. He absolutely could have killed him much quicker.
Fact.
If he wanted to kill him, he could have just taken out a gun and shot him. It's not like he wasn't being videoed. Throw in the
could have really gone after the jugular, the carotid, and cut off the airwaves
in a minute. Killed him in a minute. But instead, you throw in the comorbidities of heart disease on the part of George Floyd.
Enough fentanyl to drop a horse.
The man was a drug addict and was high and had enough in his system to OD him. And all of a sudden, what I would agree to right now, that Chauvin guy is at least guilty of what I would call manslaughter. Reckless neglect, totally irresponsible. His actions contributed to the death of George Floyd.
George Floyd was asking for help.
But to try to say that Derek Chauvin murdered him, thanks for playing. And Chauvin's going to walk and the town's going to burn.
Well, didn't they add the murder 2 charge after they leveled murder 3 and the manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter?
So is he up for all 3 counts?
I think so, yes.
So, I mean, okay.
So Minnesota has murder 3, and I don't know what that means.
So they're just saying, we're going to find a way to put you in jail. That's what they're saying. I think the guy probably ought to do some jail time. I mean, he wasn't cool.
But politically, they added the murder 2 charge after because there was a lot of pressure. That murder 3 wasn't enough. That's kind of the way I see why they added murder 2 charges in Minneapolis. And knowing full well they won't stick.
The charges ought to be about conviction, and the sentencing ought to be about the judge. So it's not like, there may be a max, for manslaughter, maximum 5 years. Murder 2, maximum life. Okay, well, he ain't going to get life in prison, people. It ain't going to happen. And on top of that, it's the perfect storm scenario. It's kind of like that other kid that got shot all those times by the policeman. Oh, that was so terrible. Oh, until you realize he was brandishing a knife at him. Okay, well, gee, throw that wrinkle in there.
And then walk through his restraining order and all the other stuff.
Yeah, when you throw that. Other than that, he was a model citizen. It's those little things that become relevant that seem to matter the most. By the way, those little things that become relevant that seem to matter the most, reach out to Dana Moore de la Garza before you need a funeral plot. Price of plots goes up when you need one. When do you need it? Tomorrow? Okay, it might be a little bit more expensive. Negotiate now. 652-9157. Dana Moore de la Garza, Ricky D's wife, the benevolent lady
so
who
nice
took on
her.
Ricky D.
Nice of her to do that.
She will sit down with you and your family and discuss, well, I've seen people do this, and I've maybe 5 songs, 6 if you want. Okay, we can do a graveside service. Yes, we can cremate you. Well, what kind of urn would you
How
want?
about a medley of songs?
These things by
All
us.
5 of your favorites,
and
and we're done in 10 minutes.
Hell in the Cotton. Get your little Elvis American trilogy. That'd be good for you. It might resurrect you from the dead. Right?
In a jumpsuit sequence.
Scylla, get on the plane.
Haunt everybody for the rest of their lives.
Get on the plane, darling.
It's kind of what I want, really.
You want?
I want to be a ghost. That'd be so much fun.
Anyway, folks, reach out to Dana Moore Deli Cars. I have nothing left.
Mono Mortgage, Terry Murray, 541-5454 is the number to call.
541-5454. That's pretty good.
It is kind of rolls off the
Yeah, I
tongue,
like
doesn't
it.
For all your mortgage needs, questions, answers, situations, Terry Murray has all the mortgage answers.
Wind services, generators, solar panels, electrical work, plumbing work. Whether you need a Kohler, Cummins, Generac, Briggs & Stratton, they've got them all different sizes. I mean, they don't have like a nuclear power plant, but if you've got a big if you've got a big home though, and you want to make sure that when the storm comes that you can run your refrigerator and your air conditioner, don't forget, folks, it's hot in hurricane season in South Texas. Caleb Shaw says, I have nothing left. Caleb's been in my shoes numerous times. Caleb, thank you for acknowledging the subtlety of the defamation. USA Concrete Coatings, they're killing it. 578 Home. I mean,
transform your drab slab.
Transform your drab slab. You're just like very hip hop.
It's their word. I didn't make it up.
Transform.
Go look at their Facebook page. I implore you. I implore you. That's mine.
We implore you to do so.
Go look at their Facebook page. Check out the before and afters. Yeah. They'll sell themselves.
Don't be a bland tile.
No.
Reach out and let them fix your floor. Wow. The Gray Barn, 920-6803. Probably best if Cheryl's not associated with this show today. 920-6803. Cheryl at the Gray Barn will help you
want her associated with your parties.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick Strauss, Michelle Hawkins says the city's going to be destroyed no matter what. I'm sure that Patrick made a comment. There you go. They could give him. Go ahead.
They said they could. Patrick says they could give him the death penalty. They'll still be riding because they didn't take him straight out of the courtroom to the chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Benjamin Netanyahu.
Jewish prime minister, elected several times, been living on like a visa kind of deal, like for the last 2 or 3 years, right, Ash, where he was elected, but they didn't certify the results.
And they couldn't get a coalition, so it was really, that's what it was. And I think they just went back to the polls and couldn't get anything straight.
He kept thinking he needed a strong turnout, right? He wanted people to show up and confirm that he was the guy, affirm that he's the guy. It didn't happen, did it?
No, still. But he went to trial yesterday. Corruption. A witness, listen to this. A witness testified that the 5-term official compelled a major news organization to cover his family in a flattering light while disparaging his political opponents. That gets you in court in Israel.
Right.
That gets you elected in the U.S. if you're Joe Biden.
Amen.
Did you watch any of that goofy Hunter Biden interview the other day? I don't even know where it was on because I really didn't care other than, well, Hunter, was that your laptop? Well, it might have been, could have been. I don't really know. I went through a period of my life for about 4 years where I really just was in a bad place, didn't know what was going on.
Define laptop.
Yeah.
Hunter, is that you?
I got so many laptops, I don't know.
I think that is me. I can't be certain.
Lied on his gun application that he wasn't using drugs when he admitted in the interview that he was using drugs for about 4 years of the period of the time when he made his handgun application. That for you and me would be a felony.
Yeah, but not for Hunter Biden.
Not for Hunter Biden.
He's part of the elite. Yeah. He's part of the woke left. He's part of the team.
And he didn't plead the fifth, so
yeah.
He's so dumb he didn't even do that.
He's not a smart guy. He's really not a smart guy.
But that's the evidence that can be used against you in a court of law in Israel. And here, you get a free pass and then half the country elects you.
So coming in off my dominant performance in the NCAA tournament, where the only game that I even bothered to register a victor on was Baylor versus
your bracket blew up.
Gonzaga.
My Northern Iowa Peacocks didn't win.
I had Texas over Abilene Christian, and from that moment on, I didn't care. I'll tell you this.
How about your boy? Where were you going with this?
I'm going if you'll let me. Okay. You want me to go?
Yes.
I mean, my mom pays for the whole hour. Here's my deal. 22 people now, Ash, 22 women from all over the country have come out and echoed the Me Too, that Deshaun Watson, a person I could not care less about, I could not care less about the 25-year-old meh quarterback of the Houston meh Texans. So I'm looking at this very objectively. 22 women from all over the country have now come out saying, me too, me too, me too. He came in, wanted more than just a massage. You know, here at Penelope's Pleasure Palace, he wanted more than just a massage. Imagine that.
Yeah, he wanted the rub and tug. He wanted the
Touched
happy
me
ending.
with his private parts and tried to coerce me. And clearly, he wanted sex. That's what he was after. Now, I know that none of you, even as naive as we all tend to be, could ever fantasize and believe that there might be some place that people go to do those sorts of things. But I want you to try
Instagram or other social media type apps where you're looking for a masseuse, because you have the Houston Texans. You have their sports medicine department. They probably have masseuses and massage therapists on staff.
They might even have a rub and tug specialist. Here's what I want to ask you.
They probably could go to them and say, hey, who do you recommend? I know you're not working today, but I need a massage. Probably have somebody in their Rolodex of their phone.
They probably wouldn't even charge them. What are the odds that 22 women, and first of all, what are the odds, if this is accurate, what are the odds that that's 100% of the victims? Zero. If there's 22, there's got to be 30, right? Yeah. There's got to be that one lady who says, well, it looks like he's getting his. I'm just not going to get involved. There's got to be that person. So for sure, there's at least 25 if there's 22.
Probably.
Okay. If there's 22 people who have a legitimate complaint against a major celebrity, why is it just now coming out? Were the other 21 just waiting on it? Only takes a spark to get a fire going. I'm not buying that, people. You really think that 22 pseudo hookers sat on the sideline and waited for that one? You tell him, Lisa. No, you tell him, Fantasia. No, you tell him, Turkishwa. I'm not buying it. It's all a hoax. I'm going to go a step further. This
class
is me.
Action lawsuit waiting to happen.
This is me. Remember that I told you this. As soon as he gets out of Houston, it'll all go away. I'm convinced his people, probably without his knowledge, are behind this. Hey, lady, give you 10 grand to make a complaint against my quarterback. They don't even know that it's his agent. Now, as soon as we get him traded, you drop your charges.
And you'll make some money.
And you'll make some money.
Either way, it's a payoff.
He wants out of Houston.
Yeah.
And now he's trying, his agent, I believe this, is trying to make him as unpalatable to the city of Houston as possible. That's what's happening.
It's a possibility.
22 people. Have you ever seen an angry masseuse? I mean, I haven't.
Maybe Andrew Cuomo's people are behind this to take the heat off of Andrew up in New York.
Right.
Because he's only got, what, 9 now?
Yep. HR Mallory, I don't know if he's going to agree with me or what. It says, just from years of following the issue, when you have an individual with multiple charges and one of them is a gun charge, that's the first charge to get dropped in order to secure a plea. There you go. So you watch.
Hunter Biden's gun charges will go away. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, that's probably true because he's the president's son. I don't know if you knew that. Joe Biden's our president now. What if you'd gone to sleep for like 6 months and you woke up and you go, please tell me that Hillary's not our president? No, she's not. Please tell me that Bernie Sanders isn't our president? No, he's not. Who is? Joe Biden. Really?
April Fools.
I'm kidding. This deal with Deshaun Watson will go away. That's a Wade and Carter prediction made by just Carter. Opinion's only my own, but you hide and watch.
Fair enough. How about your boy Vlad?
Vlad, always the epitome of transparency and fairness.
Just says, hey, 2 more terms.
He signed a law the other day that allows him to have 2 more terms. Now, they tried to call Trump a dictator. He didn't do such a thing, did he?
Yeah, no, I don't believe Trump changed the Constitution as Vlad Putin did. That would allow him to potentially remain in power until 2036. He would have been legally required to step down in 2024 at the end of his second sequential presidential term. But yeah, the change was passed by voters in a national referendum.
Yeah.
Because elections in Russia are so secure.
Well, they're very fair.
So fair.
By a vote of 1-0, Vlad Putin allowed himself to be reelected.
Nice of him. And Joe Biden won't say a word about it because Joe Biden is in bed with Putin and the Russians the Ukrainians and China. This is why Joe Biden gives these countries a free pass to do what they're doing. This is why Joe Biden hasn't said a word. Jim Crow on steroids when referring to an election law in Georgia, which was nothing of the sort. Even the Washington Post had to call him out and give him a bunch of Pinocchios for his lie on that.
90% of America has no idea what Jim Crow laws even were, including Joe Biden. He has no idea what they were.
No, he just passed them.
Craziness.
Or tried to uphold them. Separate but equal busing. Remember that? Or lack thereof.
So today's idiotic comment, easy install, comes in and says more guns equal more innocent lives lost by default. We haven't talked about guns except that Hunter Biden tried to get a gun. I mean, so this is
had a gun and lied on his
that's
thing.
just some kind of
This guy's. I mean, this is just a fake.
Yeah, it's just a fake deal. But hey, that's just how big we're getting.
Yeah,
fake people come to us now. What did BJ Nelson say? We might even let her have the last word. It was a quality comment.
Illegal aliens coming over the border and being welcomed like a Southern family or being primed for more human trafficking.
No doubt about it, BJ. And the problem is, and the numbers are staggering, they say that in our general communities that 5% of the people have COVID. They say that in the internment camps, the migrant facilities, the chain cages, 10% of the people going in have COVID. And then they're all jammed in there with the same aluminum blanket. They're all going to have it.
Yeah.
They're not. Why aren't they? Question for you, Mr. Benevolence. Why aren't we just lining up and every time we put one in the facility, giving them a COVID vaccine? It's the least we could do as a country. We have got the cure. Why not give them a COVID vaccine and then put them in the migrant facility?
Would make sense, I guess, if you're
that way, if they get away or if you let them go.
And tell them to come back on the promise that they'll appear on their own recognizance.
Yeah, Patrick Strauss probably correctly says, I'm blaming, because baseball is very superstitious.
Yes.
I'm blaming Brent for the Stros loss. The comment yesterday that if they had the league going into the 8th, it's over. I jinxed them. Patrick, thank you.
Did you walk over the lines when you walked onto the field?
I step over them. I don't step on the line.
Oh, see, I stepped on them.
Really? Well, see, now, when we were in Little League, where our fields were sharp back in the day, there was actually a chalk line there.
Yeah, there was a chalk line.
No, my dad always said, don't mess up the chalk line.
But everybody always jumped over, and I just went, why? What's the point? Led the league in hitting every year.
I'm sure you did. Like Ichiro.
Kind of, because I didn't have a lot of power.
No, I can tell. You weigh $148 now. You didn't have a lot of power. Why is the government paying for COVID vaccines? Somebody's making a ton of money off that. Well, the government's paying, BJ, because they can take it from white trash services and corporate taxes and then give it to people that they think need it.
Well, because the pharmaceuticals weren't going to make the vaccine out of the goodness of their heart unless they had a bunch of money to recoup the R&D and the quick development and the quick production and the ramping up of production to forsake all the other vaccines that they couldn't make anymore because they had to ramp this one up. I mean, the government.
Where is Jonas Salk when you need him? Gentleman who developed the polio vaccine and gave it to the world.
Banding and Best insulin. Didn't care.
Gave it to the world.
Yeah. Gave away the patents, and now you got companies making a bunch of money off them.
You can't have a religious ethno state. Those people are stupid, whoever that is. That's not even really a person. That's like computer gibberish. Christian authoritarianism is anti-American. Okay. Easy install. We may just have to block them just because they're kind of stupid.
I don't block people. I let them
you're right. We don't
themselves.
We don't block people because they're stupid.
but we're going to go.
Yeah, we are going to go, folks. We hope you have a great day. By the way, I want to just go on a scale of 1 to 10. For a Tuesday, it's about a 9.5. This is a good show today. You did a lot. You had to listen quick. There's a lot of content covered. Ash did a great job today.